Hello. I hope you guys had a great 4-day weekend. I decided, I think the easiest thing for us to do today for math is we're going to do a little bit of a review. As you can see, I have the word review on there. We're going to review, the first thing we're going to review is something called unit rates. And if you remember, a unit rate compares to 1 unit of another quantity, okay? 1 unit. That one is what's important. What I'd like for you to write in your notebook is I would like for you to go ahead and write 20 pounds per 4 feet. We're going to find the unit rate for 20 pounds per 4 feet. Now, most of the time, but not always, we look at the two things we are comparing, and we look at the one that is of the least or the less value, which you can see here would be 4. Okay, it's the smaller value, 4 smaller than 20, and 4 is the one we usually are going to make into our unit. Now, if you recall last week when we did unit rates, we made a table, so we're going to go ahead and write here pounds and feet. So if you'd write that in your notes like that. And then we made a little table, if you remember, like this. And we had here 20 pounds per 4 feet. We want to find the unit rate, and unit, remember, is 1. So we're going to change. Remember, 4 is smaller than 20. So we're going to find out 20 pounds or 4 feet. So how many pounds would that be for 1 foot? Okay. In order to go from 4 to 1, what did we do? We took 4 divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So obviously we have to do the same thing up here. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So our unit rate is this ratio right here, 5 to 1. So we would write it like this. 5 pounds per 1 foot. Okay. Sometimes we can write it also like this. Mathematicians, we get a little lazy, so we could say 5 pounds per foot. Okay, let's see if we can practice another one. All right, so here we go. Let's move this up here. Let's look at the next one I have here. This is a person hikes 4 miles in 2 5/10 hours. Find the unit rate. All right, unit rate, remember, means we're looking for something to the quantity of 1. We have 4 and 2.5 is what that is. This is the smaller value, so we're going to want to change this one. So let's go ahead and make our table. What are we comparing? Miles and hours. So we'll write miles and hours. We'll make a little quick table here. We had 4 miles, so we'll put 4 miles here and 2.5 hours here. I want to find out the unit rate. All right, so I'm going to want to find out if I go 4 miles in 2.5 hours, how many miles am I going to go in 1 hour? Remember, we're looking for the unit rate, so we needed to change the 2.5 to 1. Well, in order to go from 2.5 to 1, I had to take 2 5/10 and divide it by 2 5/10 to get 1. Remember, whatever I do down here, we have to do also up here. So I'm going to need to take on my paper, and I'm going to need to, practice some long division here. Take 4, and we're going to divide it by 2 5/10. Now remember, when we divide with decimals, we want to get rid of the decimal spot here, so we're going to move it 1 time, and that means we're going to have to do the same thing over here, which means we're going to have to add a 0. So here's our new decimal right there, and we're going to go ahead and carry it up to the top. All right, 25 is going into 40. How many times does 25 go into 4? Well, it doesn't. How many times does 25 go into 40? 1 time. 25 times 1 is 25, so make sure you are writing this in your notebook. 0 minus 5 we can't do, so we must borrow. We've got a 3 and a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. I'm not finished, am I? There's not a 0. I didn't come up evenly, so let's add a 0 here and bring that down. How many times does 25 go into 150? Well, I think of this as quarters, and how many quarters, 25 cents, go into $1.50? 6. So let's put a 6 up here, because 6 times 25 actually happens to be 150. So we just solved some long division here, and we found out that the answer up here is 1 6/10. So when I would say the unit rate, I would write it like this. I'm going to go 1 6/10 miles per hour, per 1 hour. Now, if you wanted to write it like this with words so you can understand it, you can also write it like this. These two mean the same thing. All right, so unit rate, we did a little review. Unit rate means we want to get something to the quantity of 1. All right, so here is my next problem that we're going to review. It says you jog 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. Your friend jogs 3 kilometers in 16 5/10 minutes. Who jogs faster? So we're going to actually find the unit rate, but we're going to find the unit rate for the 2 joggers. We're going to do you and your friend. So go ahead and write this right here in your notebook. You don't have to write the story, but I want you to make this in your notebook. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make for you. What are we comparing? We're comparing kilometers and minutes. Oh, whoops, here we go. So let's go ahead and write km for kilometers, and we'll do min for minutes. We'll make it a little bit simpler for us. We'll make our ratio table. For us, or you, it says we do 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. All right, so we're going to find the unit rate. And remember, we look at the 2 values here, and 2 is our smaller value. So we're going to change from 2 kilometers, we're going to change it to the unit of 1. So 12 minutes, we can go 2 kilometers. I wonder how many minutes it takes us to go 1. So in order to go from the 2 to the 1, we divided by 2. So of course, whatever we do up here, we have to do down here. Oh, well, this one isn't too bad. What's 12 divided by 2? 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we found out the unit rate is this. We can run, I guess they're jogging 1 kilometer in 6 minutes. Okay, so we're going 1 kilometer in 6 minutes. We want to compare that to our friends. So we're going to make another ratio table right over here, and we're going to make it with our friend, kilometers and minutes. All right, and we will notice that our friend jogs 3 kilometers in 16 5/10 minutes. So 3 kilometers and 16 5/10 minutes. Well, if they're jogging 3 kilometers in 16 5/10 minutes, we want to find out the unit rate. So the 3 is obviously a smaller value. So once again, we're going to compare this. We want to know how many minutes it takes them to run 1 kilometer. So in order to go from 3 to 1, we're going to write here that we do 3 divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So obviously we have to do the same thing down here. So we're going to have to do some long division here. So we're going to come down here and we're going to write 16 5/10 divided by 3. All right, well, let's see. 3 cannot go into 1. 3 goes into 16. Looks like it goes 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15, and I subtract. Oh, I forgot to carry my decimal up here to the top, didn't I? Let's carry our decimal. So I subtracted here and have a 1. Don't need to worry about the decimal anymore, but I do need to bring this 5 down. And 3 goes into 15. It looks like 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. And I have now a 0, so it came out evenly. We have here 5 and 5/10. So the unit rate we found out for our friend is they can run 1 kilometer in 5, and that's basically a half minutes. Now, because I found the unit rate for me and my friend, I can see who is the faster runner. I ran a kilometer in 6 minutes. My friend ran a kilometer only in 5.5 minutes, or 5 and 5/10. So my friend is obviously a little bit faster than me because it took them less time to run. All right, so the next thing I'd like for us to review here is this is considered a ratio table. All right, we're looking at 2 different quantities. We're looking at miles and gallons. If you notice, we already have a unit rate right here, the 1 gallon for miles. So we don't need to find the unit rate, but what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to fill in the missing boxes. So if you would make this ratio table in your notes, miles to gallons, 4 miles, 1 gallon. Then we have a 5 gallon here. Then we have a 5 mile on top. And then we actually have a fraction here for gallons, 9/4. So if you would go ahead and make the ratio table, if you need to pause your video so that you can get this done, please do so. Work at your own speed. So if we notice, I'm able to go here from 1 gallon to 5 gallons by taking 1 times 5. So obviously whatever I do down here, I have to do up here. So we'll take this times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. All right, pretty simple so far. All right, well, let's see. The next thing, we're going to go from 20 to 5 because we have 2 numbers here side by side. In order to go from 20 to 5, I had to divide by 4. 20 divided by 4, that's 5. That came out even. Well, remember, whatever I do up here on the top, we now have to do here on the bottom. So I have to take 5 divided by 4. Well, 5 divided by 4 is not going to come out even. So remember, we can write 5 divided by 4 actually like a fraction like this. We can say 5 divided by 4. All right, so if I notice here, I'm going to be going from 5/4 to 9/4. So I'm taking 5/4 times, I don't know what I'm multiplying by. This is a little bit more challenging. So what I'm going to have to do is, instead of taking 5/4 times something equals 9/4, I'm going to take 9/4 and go backwards and divide it by 5/4. So let's write on our paper here, 9/4 divided by 5/4. Let's see if you remember how to divide fractions. Can you find that answer for me, please? Divide fractions, remember, we keep, change, and we flip like this. Oh, I love problems like this because you can see that there's a 4 on the top and the bottom. So we can cancel those out and make those 1s. So we have 9 times 1 is 9. And 1 times 5 is 5. So we're going to say that 5/4 times 9/5 is 9/4. Let's just double check that. So let's go ahead and do 5/4 times 9/5. Oh, I gotta love problems like this again, because look at this. We have a 5 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. We can cancel those out to 1s. 1 times 9 is 9, and 4 times 1 is 4, giving us that answer. So we found out 5/4 times 9/5 equals 9/4. Seems kind of crazy. Well, obviously, whatever I multiplied down here, I have to multiply on the top. Now remember, pause your video if you're having a hard time keeping up. So whatever I multiplied down here, I have to multiply by up here. 5 times 9/5. Well, let me put that on my paper here. 5 times 9/5. 5, remember, is the same as 5 over 1. Oh, another one of these where we have a 5 on top and a 5 on bottom, so we can cancel them out like this. 1 times 9 is 9, and 1 times 1 is 1. 9 over 1 actually equals the answer, 9. This was a little bit more challenging ratio table. But if you notice, we were solving the ratio table problems just like we did up here when we were finding unit rates. Okay, unit rates, we're finding something compared to 1. Ratio tables, we're solving by finding out what's missing in the boxes. Okay, let's look here at one more thing called equivalent ratios. Okay, one more time a review. If I gave you these two situations, 15 breaths for every 36 seconds and 90 breaths for every 180 seconds, are these two equivalent ratios? So what I would like for you to do in your notes is I would like for you to find out if 15 to 36 is equivalent to 90 to 180. So we had 15 to 36 and 90 to 180. Are these two equivalent ratios? Well, let's see. One way to solve this is to go ahead and simplify my 15 to 36. So I could do something like this. And we could use our common factor sheet and look to see what number goes into both. I think 3 goes into both of these. 3 goes into 15 5 times, and 3 goes into 36 12 times. So this ratio can be simplified to 5 to 12. All right, it cannot go any smaller because these two do not have any other factors in common. All right, let's look at 90 and 180. Well, we can look at a lot of numbers that go into this. I want to go ahead and I know for sure that they're both even. So if I divide them both by 2, I know if I cut 90 in half, that's 45. And if I cut 180 in half, that would be 90. If I notice here, they both can be divided by, they actually can both be divided by the number 9. Because 9 times 5 is 45. And 9 times 10 is 90. Oh, looks like I can simplify again. 5 goes into both of these. 5 goes into 5 once. And 5 goes into 10 2 times. So I have a ratio here of 1 to 2. That's as simple as I can get. Are these two equivalent? Do they look alike? So no, the answer would be they are not equivalent. Now, I would write this like this on my paper. Some of you might have actually noticed that if you looked at these ratios that we started with up here, 15 to 36 and 90 to 180, some of you might have actually tried to find out if they're equivalent by doing something like this. Well, 15 actually goes into 90 6 times. Now, in order for this to be equivalent, remember, if I do the second number to the second number, this has to be a 6, right? And if this is a 6, they're equivalent. Well, unfortunately, 36 times 6 does not equal 180. It's actually 36 times 5 equals 180. So if you notice, these two are not the same numbers. So I still would have gotten the answer, not equivalent. All right, so for our homework this evening, we're going to do just some more practice. So your math assignment's actually going to be, that doesn't really make sense, does it here? It should be 154 and 155. I apologize. I have that written wrong. So you're going to start on 154 and go to 155. You're going to start at problem number 38, and we're going to stop at problem number 47. Now, I'm actually going to set up a few problems for you, so you might want to leave your video running. All right, so if you need to pause the video, obviously sure can, but I went ahead and folded my paper like we normally do, in half and half and in half again, okay? So pause the video if you want to fold your paper, and you can open it back up. Now, if you can see, I kind of used some boxes. We start with problem number 38. This is when we're going to have to find a unit rate. So I'm looking at stunts and movies, so I made a table. So I obviously want to find out if I'm doing 12 stunts in 4 movies, how many stunts am I going to do in 1? And so then you're going to write your unit rate. So for example, I'm going to divide by 4 here to get 1. So that means I have to do the same thing on top. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. So my unit rate would be, and I would write it like this, 3 stunts. And I'm going to do it the short way by saying per movie. Now, if you want to write the word out per, or you want to write per 1, you sure can. I made it short and sweet. So you're going to do 39, 40, and 41 the same way. Now remember, you can always pause this video, start your assignment, and come back. When you get to problem number 42, I have set it up for you as well. 42, I hope you're listening, because 42 wants you to write 2 unit rates. I only want you to write 1 unit rate. So I basically want you to solve this. 1 unit rate. Find the answer and write the rate. Okay? 43, I set up for you as well. You're looking at Mercury orbiting the sun 3 times in 264 days. I set up a chart helping you to find out how many it would be, how many days would take for 1 time. Then you're going to have to answer question A and question B. Once you fill in the chart that I made for you, you should be able to answer question A and question B. Okay, now I know I'm going fast right now because I'm just kind of showing you this. So remember, pause the video, come back to it. You can look and see how I set things up. Finally, on the back side, I did my other problems. I did 44. Problem number 44. You're going to compare a cyclist traveling in 4 miles in 20 minutes. So I did that. I would probably suggest, in order to make this simple, your question wants to know how many you're going to travel in 30 minutes. I'm going to put the 30 minutes over here because I found that I could not go from 20 to 30 very easily. So I'm going to I want you to find out how many, if I put this here, 1. If you put 1 mile in how many minutes, you should be able to solve this problem here. 45 and 46, you're going to look at the problems and decide whether they're equivalent or not equivalent. And the last challenging one is problem number 47, where you're comparing 2 things. We did this in our notes earlier. We're talking about you and your friend, and you are picking up trash on the beach. You pick up 2 bags in 28 minutes, and your friend picks up 3 bags in 48 minutes. If you copy my chart here and find out how many minutes it takes you each to fill 1 bag, then you're going to find out how many minutes it takes you to do 7. Here's how I set it up. Please make sure you know on number 47, I want 2 answers. There's 2 answers that you need because there's 2 questions. Make sure you answer both of them. Who fills bags with trash faster? So tell me who it is, you or your friend. And then how much sooner will the fastest person fill 7 bags? Okay, like I said, you can pause the video, come back to it, look at it anytime you want in order to do your assignment. Okay, once again, your assignment is, let's look at, remember, pages 154 and 155. And it's numbers 38 through 47. And Mrs. Houck has actually started and done most of them partially for you. All right. Have a good rest of your math class, and I will be back here tomorrow in video, unfortunately.